Welcome to Keeping It Realty.
Welcome back to Keeping It Realty. I'm your host, Martha Smith.
And I'm your co-host, Natalia Pierantoni.
And today we have an expert in house hacking.
Yes, so we're going to talk about what is house hacking, how it works, and it's one of the smartest ways to build financial freedom through real estate.
Welcome, Alberto Nikodimov.
Yes.
Did I pronounce it right?
Welcome to the show, Alberto. Thank you so
you.
much for being here.
No, thanks for having me. Pleasure being here.
Of course.
Yeah.
Alberto, tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get started and how long you've been doing house hacking?
Yeah, well, it's a long story. I don't know how much time we got here, but...
We can keep it short. 15, 20. Whatever you want.
So I'll take you back a little bit. I'm originally from Bulgaria. I was born there. Then I moved and immigrated to Cyprus, a small island close to Greece when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And eventually went to school in the UK. So I've kind of lived all over the place. And I always wanted to come to the US. And I always wanted to do something that has to do with real estate or anything else that doesn't really have a cap on how much money you can make if you're a good professional. Right. So it was either... real estate, stocks, or insurance. And I don't really like the reputation of the other two, so I ended up going with real estate. I started in a vacation rental company as an intern in Miami. Mm-hmm. I spent about 2.5 years there. And then I was headhunted by one of the largest long-term rental management companies in Orlando. I did about 2-3 years there as a business development manager for them, and ended up opening my own vacation rental company about 3.5 years ago. And I've also done some house hacks.
Wow, so you've done a lot. You've done a little bit of everything, traveled the world. Very interesting.
Yes.
Tell the listeners, what is a house hack? Let's make
what
it real
is house
simple.
hacking?
Yeah, what is a house hack?
So the goal of a house hack is to have a place to live without having to pay for it. Without being a squatter, of course.
No squatters, please.
Yeah.
So what most people do is they buy a place and they rent a portion of it, and that portion pays for the expenses of owning and holding the home. So in my case, it was a duplex. For those listeners that don't know what a duplex is, it's pretty much 2 units under the same roof sharing a wall, but everything else is completely separate. Separate water meters, separate electric meters. It's just 2 units under the same roof with separate backyards. So I bought the entire property. My mortgage was about $2,500 or so. And the one side that I was renting out was bringing about $3,000 a month. So it was not just covering the mortgage, but also electricity, water, Wi-Fi, all of the expenses of both sides. And you live for free. You don't have to pay rent.
That's amazing.
Or mortgage.
That's what everybody wants,
Yeah,
right? That's
for
the goal.
sure.
How long ago was this that you did your first house hack?
I think it's the 4th year now. It was about 4 years ago.
Okay. Do
So,
you still own that property?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I don't think I'm ever selling that one. I bought it so well that...
Yeah, you did good on
Good
that one.
equity.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so how do you scale from one to multiple investments?
Well, the goal is really to get the first one right. The most
Right.
important thing is to make sure that you get the first one right. It's a good experience. It's a learning experience. You get to understand the process of buying correctly, setting up the type of investment that you're trying to do in the proper way in order to have some success and not be discouraged to try a second, third, fourth property after that. So for me, the house hack worked really, really well. If you want to get into the details specifically of how I did the
Yeah,
house
I was going to
hack.
say, walk us through how that process works. So you buy a duplex, then what?
So it was much more than that. So I bought it. It was right in the beginning of 2023. It was January 2023 when I closed on the property. I started looking about a year before that in the beginning of 2022. And if you remember, 2023 was crazy. Everyone was cash offers, huge down payments, over asking price. It was the craziest market we've seen, I think, in our careers.
Yes.
So I was out there trying to buy a multifamily, which is a very small segment of the market. Those units are in scarcity. And I was trying to buy that with an FHA loan with a 3% down payment.
Okay.
So
How long did that take you? Like to
11
find that perfect.
11 months.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was looking for 11 months. I found that specific property about 4 or 5 months after I started looking, but they were asking for a very high price. They were asking for what I thought was too high of a price. So I ended up talking to them for 6 months, negotiating. What really helped me is telling them, hey, I'm aspiring to be an investor. This will be my first property. I'm trying to do a house hack. and they were already investors with multiple properties. So I was trying to get them to sell it to me so they can give me a chance to start building my
So you were
portfolio.
honest with them.
Always being honest
Yeah.
is the best policy. So I was really trying to build a relationship with their agent, and hopefully he would transfer that to his clients, to his sellers, and end up working out for me. So they had that property for about 10, 15 years, and they had multiple tenants long term, and they had good success with it. It doubled in price since they've purchased it. So it was time for them to let go. They were smart. They sold on the top of the market back then. For me, I got an FHA loan with 3% down, 2.5% interest rate. You don't get those.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you don't
what,
get
That doesn't
those.
exist anymore,
that was
guys.
during COVID, after COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
I
don't think
bought
we'll
the-
ever see that again.
I bought points too, so that dropped it to 2.5. And
And then your commission paid your down payment. So
Because
did you buy
you're-
this for
exactly.
free?
That's what I was getting. So I bought this property for pretty much no money because it was 3% down, 3.5% down payment, and my commission was 3%. I also negotiated part of the closing costs to be included there too.
Smart.
So I bought it pretty much for no money. But the challenge after was I had to renovate the whole thing because it was a very well built home. It's just outdated. So I had to redo everything. So I ended up working on the house myself late at night after a 10, 12-hour workday. I would go there at 6, 7 p.m. and work until 2, 3 a.m. every night to put new flooring, new tiles, kitchen. I also wanted to learn how hard it is to renovate parts of the property and learn what I could do myself in the future and what I absolutely don't want to touch.
Yeah, that's a
and
good
I'll
point.
just hire a professional.
So what would you say is something that you can do and something that you should definitely
Never.
hire
Leave it
someone
for
to do?
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have some very funny stories when
share,
it comes to
please.
this one. So we bought the property, everything looked great. Actually, some of my close people back then didn't even want to go see the property. They didn't like it. They're like, what are you going to do with this? Why don't you buy one of the new construction homes? It's nice, it's ready to go. You don't have to mess with renovations. Well, I wanted to build in immediate value. So I wanted to renovate and increase the value immediately. So the house had carpet from the 70s. It had like a original kitchen, original bathroom. Everything was pretty bad. The light fixtures were all from the 70s. So there were probably bugs in those lights, which were there for 25 years or more.
Some dinosaurs in there.
Dinosaurs.
So I repainted the whole house myself. We did all of the electrical light fixtures. We changed ourselves, fans, all of that I did all by myself. The backyard, we cleaned it up. We fixed it. It looks so much better right now. We did some of the exterior work too. But the flooring, when it came to doing the flooring, it was half tile, half carpet, the whole house. So I wanted to put luxury vinyl plank, which is the best option nowadays. And I kind of wanted to save some money. They wanted to charge me, I think, $1,000 for demo to remove the tiles and before installing the flooring, which is a very reasonable price, by the way.
I
But
was going to say, I would have been like,
I would
okay,
have been
do
like,
it.
yes, please do it.
I was giving them a lot of business as a property manager in the company I was working for, so they were doing a good price for me. But like, how hard could it be to just rip off some tiles? I would just do it myself. So me and my friend on a Sunday, we ended up getting some beers and renting all the tools that you need to, and we started trying to demolish that tile on the floor, and that tile was built to last. That tile was
That thing was like
so hard.
never comes out.
We were using the big hammers, and nothing was coming off for like 3-4 hours. We took like one tile off, 1.5 tile
Oh my
off.
gosh.
And we were so desperate. Just the materials they were using back then were so much stronger than what
Yeah.
we use nowadays. And I ended up doing it over a course of 3-4 days. My friend gave up. I even have some pictures I can show you after. But
So you guys gave up and ended up
But
hiring
did you
the
hire
tile?
somebody else?
I
Or you
finished
did-
it.
you
I'm
did it.
stubborn like that. So I
Okay,
finished it, but it didn't
okay.
take me one day. It took me like 4 or 5 days. And then, that's just something that I know for now I'll never, ever do myself ever
Yeah.
again. But I would repaint the house. I would repaint the kitchen cabinets. I would do things like that, but I would not.
Yeah, and
do the
it's
demo
not just
myself.
taking the hard floor out, but then you have to like put it all into.
Picking it up and just
throw it
garbage,
away.
just
The
trash
hard-
afterwards.
The hardest part was putting everything in bags and like special bags that
Rip.
don't rip, and then finding like a place to
Dump it.
Dump
Dump
it. Yeah,
it.
it was a tough one. I'm not doing that again.
So
for
that's
sure.
it. Flooring. If you're not a
my
floor person,
goodness.
hire out. Okay, that makes sense.
But
Where are
it
we?
did save us a lot of money. For example, if we were to hire a contractor for that entire job of the 2 units in a duplex, probably would spend 60 grand or so. I think I did everything for like less than 15 grand.
Oh, nice.
And my property went up in value pretty much immediately from 330. Now it's probably worth about $500,000, but back then it was like 4 something. So you immediately force the value of the property up.
How long did it take you to renovate everything yourself?
2.5 months, I think.
That's not bad.
I was expecting 30 days, but it never
So it
worked
was
out.
longer than you expected.
Yeah, that's still not bad. Okay, so you purchase a duplex, you start the renovations, you go through all of that, and then now you're at a place where you're ready to rent it. Walk us through how you find the right tenants for a house hack.
So house hacking, first of all, we have several different options. I'll just do that quick explanation for
Yes,
our
please.
listeners. You can either rent some of the rooms inside your house, which
Okay.
I don't recommend to anyone because then you have to share personal space and that's never fun.
Okay.
You never know who's going to be staying at your house. The other option is to do long-term rentals, which is the most common option, meaning long-term is someone for a year or more staying there at the property. The third option is to do like traveling nurses and things like that, mid-term rentals, what we call them. And what I ended up going with is short-term rentals. So I Airbnb'd the other side of the unit. Now, some of the considerations that you have to have when deciding to do that is, are you willing to have new people coming next door, like your neighbors, because they're technically your neighbors. You're not
Yeah, you're just sharing a wall, right?
not even for me. It's like a garage, and then their garage, and then it's their unit, and my unit's on the other side.
okay.
But still, you're pretty close to them. You know, you see
Yeah.
when they park the cars, you see them when they use their backyard. So, are you comfortable having people coming in and out, 2-3 different families a week? I was a single guy back then, so I didn't mind that. If you have a wife with kids, it's a much harder conversation
Yeah.
to have there. So that's something to consider. But yeah, I ended up going with short-term rentals, and that's worked out for me very, very well. This way you can make a little bit more money, especially in that area. And yeah, right now it's been, like I said, about 4 years since I've purchased. I moved out of that place about a year ago. And now the income that I have from the 2 units is just, I'm no longer house hacking. I'm just using it as an investment property. And now, remember, one site's renting for about $3,000 a month. Now the 2 sites are making about $6,000 a month. My expenses are still $3,000. So I'm cash flowing $3,000 every month.
Wow.
Yeah, that really worked out really nicely for you. That was a good job.
Yeah, it's about $36K a year, which is some people's annual salary.
That's very true. So, what are your thoughts on house hacking in expensive markets?
I've done that as well in Miami when I originally moved there, but back then I didn't own the home, so it's kind of subleasing. It's not house hacking necessarily,
Right.
but just renting Miami was crazy. Now it's even crazier. But I was renting a two bedroom house back then. It was like $2,100 a month, and what I did is just I rented out the other room and the smaller room in the house. I kept the master, and I rented the small room for like $1,400, I think, and then or $1,200. And then I was paying $800-900 to live in a super nice building, have the bigger room. So it's comparable because if you want to do that in a high-end market, you could, and it might actually work out better. You just, because you might have better quality tenants, you just have to make sure that you're doing it the proper way and you're not buying too aggressively. So whatever the income is from that property can cover your expenses. That's really the main concern. Besides that, it could work anywhere. People do it all over the US and around the world.
What would you say to someone that wants to start that process? Like what should they look for? What's the first thing that they do if they don't have a whole lot of money?
Yeah, money is really not the biggest concern, especially in the beginning. It's more of a big learning curve. You need to really invest some time learning and reading and researching about other people and how they've done it. For me, it was Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets is a huge real estate podcast. I think it's the biggest one in the US. And they have all kinds of investors going there and sharing their stories. And over and over and over and over again, all of the investors were recommending if you're a single young guy, do a house hack, that's the best way to start your investment career, and you reduce your biggest expense as a household or as a individual, which is your rent/mortgage. So for me, it was about 2 years, maybe just learning and reading and coming up with a plan of exactly what I could do. And then having my license, that was a big bonus because then I could utilize the 3.5% first-time home buyer loan with very low interest rates, very low down payment, and commission back, which means I could buy for pretty much no money. You don't have to be, again, you don't have to be a real estate agent to do a house hack. You could easily do it just by working with an agent, one like you. And this actually saves you a lot of time of that research if you work with a professional who already has knowledge about this topic and can help you and guide you towards the right direction.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, ready? Anything else that you would like to share to our listeners? Any advice or pro tips or?
Well, you asked me earlier and we didn't really get to answer your question.
Scale?
How do you scale? That's a very good.
Oh, yes.
That's a very good question and pretty much what everyone wants to learn. This is a good start, but then you really need to plan what's next for you. And the best way to do that is by assessing what's your risk tolerance as an individual. So for example, if you're a young professional, your risk tolerance is much higher than, let's say, if you're 50, 60 years old with a family and perhaps grandkids, then you don't want to go too crazy. You want to more preserve your assets rather than go aggressive.
Yeah.
When you're a young person and you don't really have roots holding you down, it's much easier to be more aggressive. So first you need to assess what's your risk tolerance in terms of where you are in life, and then how are you as personality. And then you decide which type of investment product is best for you. For me, it was house hack, and then from now on, I really specialize in short-term rentals. So I keep doubling down on short-term rentals, and they've been working out for me very well. And then once you get the first property, a second property, a third property, it gets easier and easier over time. It's just, I'm a big numbers guy. If you're a numbers guy in this industry, it really helps you because numbers never lie. It's a different language that talks to you. If you can understand numbers, you'll do pretty well in this business.
So to go from 1 to 2 to 3, you house hack. So you're living in this duplex for a year or whatever your loan.
A little bit more than that. Yeah.
Okay. And then you move to another duplex maybe and get another FHA loan to house hack that? Is that how you would get your second one, or what would be the next?
No, actually, I bought another investment property.
Okay.
Ended up renting right now because I had to move very close to my office because we opened a new location for my business. So I had to be close to the office. Otherwise, the first property I purchased was an hour and 15 minutes drive. So I was commuting for a very long time. So I actually ended up preferring to buy an investment property rather than purchase another house. Why? Because I couldn't really find a deal at that time. The market was not as good. The interest rates were not as good. I could not afford to buy in cash. In cash, there were some great deals, but I didn't have $400,000 or $500,000 in cash. So I ended up renting a house and using the income from the duplex, from the house hack, to pay for that rent, and I still have leftover money.
He's like a magician.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you ever taken the equity from those past or your investments and then just keep going with it, or do you recommend that, or not really?
Depends. Back to my previous point. Depends on your style as investor. I don't really like doing that too much. A lot of people like doing that and stretching themselves too thin. I prefer buying properties in cash, even though it's harder. You need to make more money. But I just purchased my second property in cash because this way your holding cost, if you can find the cash to find your first to buy a property in cash, your holding cost is much lower. You're much less stressed about what's happening in the market and the variances. Let's say if you make a little bit less money this year, a little bit more money that year. So I didn't go that route this time. I preferred to buy a cheaper property, but in cash. But you could pull money out of the property. Right now, for example, that property is worth about $500,000. I purchased for about 3 something. I've paid off a bunch of it, so probably have $200,000 of equity in it. I could pull it out, but then your holding cost increases. So when I run the numbers, just didn't really make sense for me at that point. But it's a good strategy if your risk tolerance allows it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. That's been so insightful on house hacking. I feel like this this is going to be an episode that a lot of people are going to be interested in, because I do get a lot of calls where I have had young people that are in college and they're like, we want to do a house hack. My dad's going to help me. You know, they're maybe out of state and their parents are going to help them do a house hack. So
That's a good point.
yeah, this is definitely something that's interesting.
I wish there were more real estate agents encouraging young people right out of college in their first professional job to house hack rather than go and buy the big 2-3 bedroom house with a fence and backyard. And it makes so much more sense for a single professional in your 20s. And after that, of course, once you build a family, it's different. But
It's different.
it catapults your life, your financial freedom at the very early
Let
stage.
me ask you, because like you said, it's kind of hard to find those little gold nuggets, this perfect property. You know, they're not that popular, but there's not that many of them available. Would you recommend doing a house hack for maybe like a home with like a mother-in-law suite behind it?
Yes, that's another great option. So you could do anything that's a residential multifamily, just so you can utilize the loans with small down payments. So for example, a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex, you can do any of those because they're still considered residential property, so you can still do an FHA loan. So for example, you can live in one of the units, and if it has 4 units, you can rent out the other 3, which is even better because if one of your tenants moves out, you still have 2 other units which still produce income. Mother-in-law suites are a great alternative option. So if you, let's say you're a young couple with a small kid and you still want to have your privacy and your full house with, let's say, a backyard and a garage, then you can do that and then just have a smaller unit in the back, which can accommodate, let's say, nurses or single people living in the backyard, and can at least, if not cover your entire mortgage, substitute a big chunk of it.
To help you out.
Yeah.
Great point.
Definitely a great option.
Okay. So we always end our show with our rapid fire game. So first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready? You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay.
What keeps you up at night?
Not much. I'm actually pretty good. Like we mentioned in the beginning, honesty is very important in my life and in my career. So as long as you do things right, nothing really keeps you up at night.
Okay.
As long as my family is
love
healthy.
that.
Very good. I was like, oh, this property with the tenants.
He's
but no,
probably
he's like,
thinking, we can't sleep sometimes when
I
these
know.
deals get into.
I have 2 listings right now that keep me up at night.
Agents are having a tough life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so favorite real estate book. I know you mentioned podcast, but do you read or do you like more listening?
I'm a big reader. I'll go with the classic Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's an amazing book. That's really what started me. And
Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Rich Dad Poor Dad
that's a good
by
book.
Robert Kiyosaki. And a second book, which is not very popular for real estate, but it definitely helps you in real estate, any other professional career you want to go for, is 48 Laws of Power.
Oh, I gotta read that one. I
This
haven't read it.
is a great book. This is one of my top 3 books as well. Those 2 are golden nuggets.
Awesome.
Thank you. What is it? If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Someone asked me a question last week. I think we were talking to my girlfriend. She asked me that, and I think it will be time traveling. I think I would want to
Go back.
I would want
forward?
back. Most likely relive memories with my family. You know, especially once people are gone from your life, you're missing those childhood memories. If you could go back and you could relive those, I think that's the best superpower.
That's super sweet.
That's nice.
Also, go back and like buy houses when they were
Yeah,
super.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Back in
I should have bought into
2009.
COVID. Okay, so what's worse, a vacancy or a bad tenant?
Bad tenant.
Okay.
Oh, bad tenant by
tenant.
far. By far.
You have an experience?
It could
or
get
what?
expensive with a bad tenant, I can imagine.
Experiences. And remember, we're in short-term rentals. We're dealing with many tenants, and we host thousands of families every year. If you get a bad one, it's tough. The good thing about short-term rentals is they only stay there for a few days or a week. They don't stay for a year or 2, and evictions don't happen. And so, bad tenant or bad guests is much worse than vacancy.
Got it.
Which market do you like better for what you do, Miami or Orlando?
Different pros and cons in each market. Miami, you usually have to buy higher properties, higher end properties. So you have to, for the properties that we are buying and make sense for us, you really need to be over $1 million to make sense. Orlando, you can do it in a much more affordable way. There's good deals for $100,000. There's good deals for $200,000. There's good deals for $300,000. In Miami, you can't find anything for
Right.
Very difficult.
$300,000.
And you feel like you can still make an equivalent in Orlando.
Return, yes.
Yeah.
Money, percentage-wise, yes, it's pretty equivalent. But again, different pros and cons. The appreciation in Miami is probably going to treat you a little bit better if you buy in a good location, just because Miami is one of the fastest growing cities in the world, not just in the U.S.
What do you think about Tampa, though? Like, in your opinion?
Tampa is a great market. Yeah, not especially for real estate, not so much for the vacation rentals, especially some specific areas because you have a lot of restrictions around here. Right. But for real estate, it's a great market. I think it's, in my opinion, on the west coast of Florida is one of the most vibrant cities. So you have a lot going on.
Yeah, it's growing too.
Growing fast.
For sure. Okay, so how do you decompress? You're so stressed out.
Soccer. I've been playing soccer since I was a little kid, and that's really what gets my mind out of my job and everything else for 2 hours, 3-4 times a week. You cannot think about anything else while you play soccer. So exercise really helps.
If you were to give your younger self some advice, what would it be?
That's a really good question. Okay, I would say have a little bit more confidence, be a little bit more aggressive, and embrace who you are as early as possible. You need to be confident in your own skin so people around you can like you for who you are.
Wow, that was really good. Great answer.
That was a great gem.
Dang, okay. So I think that pretty much covers it for this episode. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, you guys are pretty good with your questions. You're firing them quick and fast. I hope I was good enough.
You did.
Yes,
you were great.
absolutely.
We're going to invite you back if that's okay.
Of course, I'll be happy to
Well,
be
thank
here.
you so much for joining us and talking to us about house hacking. You also have a very successful property management business, you mentioned.
Yes.
How can someone get in touch with you? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm not a social media guy, so you can't really find me on social media, but you can find our company. We're called Memories Vacation Homes. You can find us anywhere on Google or our website, trymemories.com. You can give our office a ring, and we'll definitely be happy to help you.
So if you have any questions, email us at keepingitrealty@gmail.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to click on the bell so you don't miss an episode.
Your support means the world to us. It would really help our podcast if you would share this episode and follow us on Instagram at keepingitreal_T.
See you next time on Keeping It Realty. Thank you all for tuning into our podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did.
Don't forget to follow us on social media at keepingitreal_T and share this episode with all your friends.
If you guys have any questions and topics that you guys would like for us for future episodes, let us know. Shoot us a message. We would love to hear from you guys.
See you next time on Keeping It Realty.